Alright, everybody, welcome to Season 2. Let's get on with it. The Bloodbath. As the tributes stand on the podiums, the horn sounds. Mrs. Afton finds a backpack full of camping equipment. Oswald, Gregory, and William run away from the cornucopia. Susie finds a canteen full of water. Elizabeth runs away from the cornucopia. Andrew and Dylan fight for a bag. Andrew gives up and retreats. Evan and Foxy run away from the cornucopia. Fritz finds a bag full of explosives. Cassidy and Chica run away from the cornucopia. Sarah and Bonnie fight for a bag. Sarah gives up and retreats. Charlie, Michael, and Millie run away from the cornucopia. Jessica grabs a shield leaning on the cornucopia. Jeremy, Gabriel, and Freddy run away from the cornucopia. Golden Freddy takes a spear from inside the cornucopia. Cassie runs away from the cornucopia. Day 1 in the Hunger Games. Evan and Cassie split up to search for resources. Jessica discovers a cave. Foxy and Elizabeth hunt for other tributes. Bonnie overhears Fritz and Sarah talking in the distance. Cassidy constructs a shack. Charlie tends to Andrew's wounds. Freddy takes a slingshot. William receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Jeremy discovers a cave. Dylan, Susie, Mrs. Afton, and Golden Freddy hunt for other tributes. Gabriel receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Oswald scares Gregory off. Muggle defeats Chica in a fight but spares her life. Millie receives medical supplies from an unknown sponsor. No one has died yet on day 1. Night 1. Fritz receives fresh fruit from an unknown sponsor. Charlie destroys Cassidy's supplies while she is asleep. Elizabeth receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Foxy receives medical supplies from an unknown sponsor. William is awoken by nightmares. Oswald receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Evan, Susie, and Gregory sleep in shifts. Cassie attempts to start a fire but is unsuccessful. Jessica, Bonnie, Dylan, and Chica and Golden Freddy sleep in shifts. Gabriel attempts to start a fire but is unsuccessful. Millie begs for Sarah to kill her. She refuses, keeping Millie alive. Jeremy quietly hums. Mrs. Afton thinks about home. Andrew, Freddy, and Michael get into a fight. Andrew triumphantly kills them both. Day 2 in the Hunger Games. Gabriel goes hunting. Foxy and Sarah discover a cave. Jessica, Cassidy, Andrew, Oswald, and Fritz hunt for other tributes. Jeremy severely injures Dylan but puts him out of his misery. Chica is unable to convince Golden Freddy to not kill her. William unknowingly eats toxic berries. Cassie falls into a pit and dies. Elizabeth goes hunting. Bonnie tends to Charlie's wounds. Evan goes hunting. Mrs. Afton begs for Millie to kill her. She refuses, keeping Mrs. Afton alive. Susie constructs a shack. Gregory fishes. Fallen tributes. 6 cannon shots can be heard in the distance. Freddy from District 1, Michael from District 6, Dylan from District 11, Chica from District 2, William from District 7, and Cassie from District 12. So far, no district is out. Night 2. Mrs. Afton lets Millie into her shelter. Charlie tries to treat her infection. Sarah climbs a tree to rest. Foxy starts a fire. Jessica cries herself to sleep. Evan climbs a tree to rest. Cassidy, Elizabeth, and Oswald start fighting, but Elizabeth runs away as Cassidy kills Oswald. Bonnie is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. Fritz and Susie fight Andrew and Golden Freddy. Andrew and Golden Freddy survive. Gregory lets Jeremy into his shelter. Gabriel screams for help. Day 3 in the Hunger Games. Millie makes a wooden spear. Cassidy thinks about home. Elizabeth runs away from Gregory. Gabriel practices his archery. Evan and Andrew hunt for other tributes. Mrs. Afton questions her sanity. Golden Freddy makes a wooden spear. Jessica, Bonnie, and Jeremy and Charlie hunt for other tributes. Foxy sees smoke rising in the distance but decides not to investigate. Sarah thinks about home. Fallen tributes. 3 cannon shots can be heard in the distance. Oswald from District 12, Fritz and Susie from District 4. Night 3. Millie receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Millie cooks her food before putting her fire out. Cassie is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. Bonnie thinks about home. Mrs. Afton begs for Jessica to kill her. She refuses, keeping Mrs. Afton alive. Golden Freddy goes to sleep. Andrew tries to sing himself to sleep. Gabriel looks at the night sky. Gregory receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Sarah lets Charlie into her shelter. Elizabeth looks at the night sky. Foxy cooks his food before putting his fire out. Evan dies from hypothermia. Day 4. In the Hunger Games. Jessica thinks about home. Jeremy also thinks about home. Millie makes a wooden spear. Mrs. Afton collects fruit from a tree. Elizabeth severely injures Charlie and leaves her to die. Gregory steals from Foxy while he isn't looking. Bonnie collects fruit from a tree. Golden Freddy receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Cassidy thinks about home. Gabriel receives fresh fruit from an unknown sponsor. Andrew diverts Sarah's attention and runs away. Arena event. The arena turns pitch black and nobody can see a thing. While fighting, Jeremy and Sarah lose their balance, roll down on a jagged hillside, and die. Bonnie survives. Gabriel finds and kills Cassidy, who was making too much noise. Excuse me. Jessica, Andrew, Gregory, Golden Freddy, and Elizabeth survive. Mrs. Afton finds and kills Foxy, who is making too much noise. Millie survives. Fallen tributes. 6 cannon shots can be heard in the distance. Evan from District 8, Charlie from District 9, Jeremy from District 5, Sarah from District 10, Cassidy from District 3, and Foxy from District 2. 1, 2, 3 are out. Night 4. Gabriel is awoken by nightmares. Golden Freddy cannot handle the circumstances and commits self-termination. Mrs. Afton loses sight of where she is. Millie is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. Elizabeth and Bonnie tell stories about themselves to each other. Andrew defeats Gregory in a fight but spares his life. Jessica climbs a tree to rest. The feast! The cornucopia is replenished with food, supplies, weapons, and memoirs from the tributes' families. Gabriel, Elizabeth, and Bonnie decide not to go to the feast. Andrew and May get into a fight over raw meat, but Andrew gives up and runs away. Jessica kills Mrs. Afton as she tries to run. Gregory accidentally steps on a landmine. Day 5. In the Hunger Games. Elizabeth runs away from Jessica. Gabriel severely injures Andrew but puts him out of his misery. Bonnie makes a slingshot. Millie searches for firewood. Another arena event. Monkey Mutts fill the arena. Millie uses Jessica as a shield from the Monkey Mutts. Gabriel is pummeled to the ground and killed by a troop of Monkey Mutts. Bonnie and Elizabeth survive. Fallen tributes. 6 more cannon shots can be heard in the distance. Golden Freddy from District 3, Mrs. Afton from District 7, Gregory from District 12, Andrew from District 8, Jessica from District 9, and Gabriel from District 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are out. Night 5. Bonnie passes out from exhaustion. Elizabeth sees a fire but stays hidden. Millie thinks about home. Day 6. In the Hunger Games. Elizabeth and Millie threaten to double self-termination. It fails and they die. Fallen tributes. 2 cannon shots can be heard in the distance. Elizabeth from District 6, Emily from District 11. That leaves Bonnie from District 1 is the winner. Bonnie 1, Millie 2nd, Elizabeth 3rd, Gabriel 4th, and Jessica in 5th. We started off the second season pretty well with no deaths on the first day.